I've come a long way from when I just started, and so like that progression like makes me want to continue to like achieve more and see how far I can push the boundaries. My name is Chad Lieske. My art line is called Passing Days, and my medium is jewelry making, 3D sculptural design. As a kid, I just kind of like always enjoyed like drawing and kind of creating, whether it was making things, building things, like working on like mechanics and stuff. We grew up on a farm, so like it was kind of like one of those things where like in a town of 900 people with 3 brothers, it was just like we were stuck on a farm, or not stuck, but that's where we grew up. And so we kind of had to like, we didn't have the luxury of like riding our bikes to the neighbor's house. We had to like stick around, and so we really like embrace like being crafty with our hands and kind of just like building from the ground up anything. So I think that kind of inspired like the early stages of like creating. I got my undergrad at the University of Minnesota, Duluth, and when I went there, I wanted to be an artist, but my parents were kind of like, well, maybe you do some art classes and maybe you do some business classes. But the way that unfolded, it was like it wasn't one or the other. So I went into the art school and I got an emphasis in 3D sculptural design, and with an emphasis in ceramics and sculpture. So I kind of knew at that point that that was like something that I was interested in, but it was all ceramics and pottery. And then when I got into the jewelry, it was mainly because I moved to LA from Minnesota, and I didn't have the means of like going to a studio and having a wheel and a kiln and all that stuff. So I started doing waxwork, and I was just making rings like that. It's like making ceramics, but it's on a micro scale and it's really small, and I could do it on my kitchen table. So I started doing that, and that's kind of what led me to all of this. What I love most, I think, is like seeing it come to life. Like when there's so many stages of like, either shaping, like casting the wax into silver is like one step where you're like, oh, it's this like little blue sculpture that turns into silver. And then from there, setting the stone, and just like all of the stages of watching the change happen, and then seeing the finished product when the stone is set and the polish is done. It just like has this like feeling of like accomplishment. Getting new stones, or like seeing new techniques, and like seeing other artists work and seeing like how they did it, and like kind of understanding how I could accomplish something like that, and like deciphering like stamp work or engraving, or different set types for the stones, and I mean it's kind of like this endless world of like, because jewelry can go so fine and so in depth that I feel like I'm just scratching the surface now, so it gives me so much room to like continue to grow as an artist. What brought me to the Celebration of Fine Art is a really funny story. When I was 14 or 15, my grandparents asked us what we wanted to be when we grew up, and we told them that we wanted to be artists. And my grandpa said, well, how are you going to make a living and support a family being an artist? And being the stern man that he was. And I looked at him and I was like, I'm not sure exactly how I'm gonna do that, but I'll figure it out. It's just like, I wanna follow my passion. And it's funny thinking of a 15-year-old saying that, but he looked at me and he was like, well, and my brother Luke, and he was like, well, when you guys come visit us in Arizona, we'll take you to a gallery where you can go and talk to the artists, walk around and see how they did it and see what they say. And him and my grandmother took us here in 2004 to the Celebration of Fine Art. And that was kind of like the beginning stages of the journey of like wanting to be a fine artist and showing at the gallery level.